Welcome to my channel. Today we are talking about something every human wants but very few actually understand: happiness. We wake up wanting to feel happy. We work hoping for happiness. We chase goals believing they will give us happiness. Yet so many people feel stressed, empty, anxious, or unsatisfied. This is the strange contradiction of modern life. We have more comfort than past generations, more entertainment, more technology, more convenience, yet happiness feels harder and harder to hold. And here comes the big question that almost no one asks. Is it actually possible to be happy in every situation? To be happy not only when life is easy and smooth, but also when life is challenging, messy, confusing, or unpredictable? Most people will say no, because they think happiness depends on circumstances. But the truth is, real happiness is not something we wait for. It is something we learn, build, and protect. In this video, you are going to discover how happiness really works, why most people lose it, and how you can create a style of happiness that survives stress, challenges, and difficult moments without pretending life is perfect. And if there is one skill worth learning this year, it is the skill of how to be happy from the inside, not from the outside. So stay with me, because what you learn in the next few minutes can change the way you experience your entire life. Chapter 1: Understanding Happiness. Why we struggle with it. Why is happiness difficult even when life looks comfortable? This is one of those questions that almost nobody asks, yet everyone feels. We live in a time where food can arrive at our door in minutes, information is one click away, entertainment is endless, and communication is global. Technically, life has never been easier, yet emotionally, people are more stressed, more anxious, more confused, and more unhappy than ever. This creates a strange puzzle. How can life become more comfortable, but happiness become more fragile? How can problems become smaller, but suffering become bigger? How can we have more pleasures, but less peace? These questions make us pause because they reveal something very important. Happiness is not automatic. Just because life becomes comfortable does not mean the mind becomes joyful. If we look at the ancient world, life was much harder in physical ways. People walked long distances, worked with their hands, lived without air conditioning, without smartphones, without instant entertainment, without constant stimulation. There was more silence, more face-to-face connection, more patience, and more presence. And interestingly, there was often more emotional peace. People were not constantly comparing their lives to others, not constantly chasing attention, not constantly seeking approval, not constantly distracting themselves from silence. Modern life, on the other hand, is full of pleasures, screens, entertainment, shopping, social media, notifications, comfort, and instant gratification. But emotional peace has declined. Why? Because happiness is not created by pleasures. Happiness is created by perception. This is a key realization for anyone learning how to be happy in every situation. Most people believe happiness is something we acquire, so they chase achievements, success, status, attention, relationships, money, and lifestyle, hoping they will finally arrive at happiness. But happiness is not something we collect. Happiness is something we interpret. It is not about what we have. It is about how we see what we have. Two people can have the same situation and feel completely different. One can feel grateful, another can feel miserable. The situation is the same. The perception is different. The happiness is different. This means happiness begins inside the mind, not outside in the world. There are 3 common traps that almost everyone falls into. The first is the when-then trap. I will be happy when I get a new phone. I will be happy when I make more money. I will be happy when life becomes easier. I will be happy when I succeed. The problem is, when the when happens, the brain creates a new when. So happiness gets delayed again and again. The second trap is the more trap. The mind is never satisfied with what it has because it adapts too quickly. In psychology, this is called hedonic adaptation. We get a new device, we feel excited for a few days, then excitement disappears. We earn more money, we feel proud for a week, then it becomes normal. The brain keeps asking for more success, more status, more recognition, more pleasure, but more is never enough. The third trap is the perfect life trap, where people believe happiness requires perfect conditions, perfect job, perfect day, perfect relationship, perfect results, perfect health, perfect mood. But life is not a movie script. Real life is imperfect, unpredictable, and constantly changing. If we wait for perfect conditions, we will wait forever. Here is a key insight. Happiness decreases when expectations increase faster than reality. Let's take a small example. Imagine 2 people go to a restaurant. Person A expects good food and gets good food. They feel satisfied. Person B expects the best food of their life, expects perfect service, expects instant delivery, expects constant attention, and gets the same good food. But because reality did not match their imagination, they feel disappointed. Notice something important. The situation was the same. The food was the same. The place was the same. The difference was expectation. When expectations rise too high, happiness drops too low. From psychology and neuroscience, we learn that the brain is built for survival, not happiness. In ancient times, noticing danger kept humans alive. So the brain became sensitive to negative things, threats, problems, risks, losses, criticism. This is called the negative bias. Even today, the brain pays more attention to what is wrong instead of what is right. This bias helped our ancestors survive lions, snakes, enemies, storms, and uncertainty. But in the modern world, the brain treats emails, traffic, delays, comments, or minor discomfort as danger. So we struggle emotionally even when life is physically safe. This brings us to a simple truth. Happiness is not about having everything. Happiness is about noticing the right things. People who notice blessings feel happy. People who notice problems feel unhappy. People who notice progress feel motivated. People who notice what is missing feel disappointed. The lens we use determines the world we see. So now we arrive at an important bridge to Chapter 2. If happiness is internal and not external, if happiness is built by perception and not by conditions, then the real question becomes, how do we train the mind to access happiness intentionally instead of accidentally? That is what we will discover in the next chapter. Chapter 2. Inner Work. Training the Mind for Happiness. Most people don't realize something very simple. Without training, the mind does not naturally choose happiness. The default setting is not joy, peace, calm, or appreciation. The default setting is worry, fear, comparison, and doubt. Not because you are weak, but because your brain was designed to protect you, not to delight you. If you don't train the mind, it will run wherever it wants. And like an untrained puppy, it rarely runs toward happiness. Happiness as a skill, not a gift. When we think about our physical body, we accept that strength, flexibility, and stamina require training. No one expects to wake up with a strong body without exercise. Yet when it comes to happiness, emotional calm, or inner peace, many people expect these qualities to just happen, as if they come from luck or genetics. But happiness follows the same rule as fitness. If you train it, it becomes stable. If you ignore it, it becomes fragile. This is the first major shift of inner work. Happiness is not a mood. It is a skill. It is something you can get better at. And like any skill, it has techniques, tools, and practices. 1. Awareness before control. You cannot control what you are unaware of. If a thought enters your mind and you immediately believe it, you are controlled by it. If an emotion rises and you instantly identify with it, you drown in it. Awareness creates space. That space is where choice lives. Awareness sounds abstract, but it is deeply practical. When you notice your mind saying, "I'm behind," "I'm not enough," or "I'm failing," and instead of believing it, you say, "Ah, that's just my mind talking," you take the first step toward emotional freedom. 2. Attention creates emotion. Where your attention rests, your emotions follow. If your mind focuses on what is missing, you feel lack. If it focuses on what is wrong, you feel stress. If it focuses on what is working, you feel gratitude. Attention is the lighting director of your emotional life. Whatever it illuminates becomes the main character. This is why two people in the same situation can feel completely different. Their circumstances are the same, but their attention is not. 3. The present moment. The happiness zone. All real happiness happens in the present moment. If you scan your life, you'll notice something funny. You cannot eat a meal in the future, you cannot laugh in the past, and you cannot enjoy sunlight tomorrow. All enjoyment is now, yet the mind is rarely here. It is either replaying what happened or pre-living what might happen. Happiness becomes possible only when the mind returns to where the body already is. 5. Skill practices for inner happiness. 1. Gratitude rewires brain chemistry. Gratitude is not just a cute idea. It is biological. When you recognize small positives, your brain releases serotonin, the chemical behind contentment. Gratitude does not create new blessings, it makes existing blessings visible. Happiness increases not from gaining more, but from seeing more. 2. Observation versus overthinking. Overthinking is when the mind creates unnecessary stories about reality. Observation is when you see reality without stories. Example: rain falls. Overthinking: this ruins my day. Observation: it's raining. One is resistance, the other is acceptance. Happiness lives in acceptance. 3. Attention. Shifting. When you feel stuck, anxious, or overwhelmed, shifting attention can instantly change emotional state. Attention shifting is not running away, it is choosing what deserves your energy. It might mean focusing on the breath, a sound, a sensation, or a task. Small shift, big effect. 4. Breathing for emotional calm. Your breath is the remote control for your nervous system. Slow breathing tells the brain, we are safe. Peace isn't achieved through thinking, it's achieved through physiology. 5. Enjoying micro moments. Life gives small joys constantly, but the untrained mind walks past them. Eating slowly, feeling warm sunlight, hearing a song you love, these moments are micro happiness units. They don't make you jump with excitement, but they build a foundation of calm joy. Happiness hides in micro moments more than in major achievements. Neuroscience mini explanation. Dopamine gives pleasure, short, exciting, fast. Serotonin gives contentment, slow, steady, deep. Modern life is full of dopamine triggers, notifications, scrolling, buying, but empty in serotonin practices, gratitude, presence, connection. Pleasure makes you say, wow. Happiness makes you say, I'm okay. Both matter, but only one is stable. Important distinctions. Pleasure is instant. Happiness is sustained. Pleasure comes from outside. Happiness is built inside. Pleasure excites the body. Happiness nourishes the heart. Pleasure is like dessert, amazing in small amounts. Happiness is like nutrition, necessary for life. Chapter 3. How to Stay Happy. When life isn't easy. Here's the truth. No self-help book can escape. Life is not always comfortable. It contains uncertainty, stress, conflict, delay, disappointment, and situations we would never choose. If happiness only worked when life was perfect, then happiness would be extremely fragile. Real happiness must function in real environments, messy, unpredictable, imperfect environments. The goal is not to remove challenges from life, but to build a mind that can stay stable within them. People often confuse happiness with a life free of problems. But happiness is not the absence of difficulty. Happiness is emotional strength during difficulty. When problems come and your inner state does not collapse, that is real power. Emotional strength versus emotional suppression. Many people misunderstand emotional strength. Emotional strength is not pretending everything is fine. It is not smiling while you are breaking inside. That is suppression. Suppression pushes emotions down. where they become heavier, louder, and more painful over time. Emotional strength is different. Emotional strength is when you can feel something without being controlled by it. You can experience stress without drowning in it. You can feel sadness without believing life is hopeless. You can acknowledge discomfort without losing your center. Suppressing emotion increases suffering. Processing emotion reduces suffering. This is inner work that makes happiness durable. Key internal tools for difficult moments. There are 4 mental distinctions that create emotional stability during challenges. 1. Acceptance versus resistance. When life gives us something we don't want, rejection, delay, failure, conflict, the untrained mind resists. It argues with reality. This shouldn't be happening. Why me? It wasn't supposed to be like this. But reality does not change because we fight it. Resistance creates pain on top of pain. Acceptance does not mean liking the situation. It means acknowledging the situation. When the mind accepts reality, energy returns to solving instead of suffering. 2. Response versus reaction. Reactions are automatic. They come from old fears, old patterns, old impulses. Responses come from awareness. The gap between reaction and response is emotional maturity. Happiness increases when you stop letting impulses decide your behavior. What we respond to calmly loses power. What we react to instantly gains control. 3. Control versus let go. Not everything in life is meant to be controlled. In fact, trying to control everything is one of the fastest ways to create anxiety. Control creates safety only when applied where it belongs. Letting go is not defeat, it is wisdom. You are not supposed to carry every burden. You are only responsible for what is actually yours. 4. Flexibility versus perfection. Perfection demands that life match your script. Flexibility adapts to reality as it unfolds. Life rewards flexibility. Rigid expectations break easily. Flexible expectations bend and survive. The sphere of control. One of the most useful mental models is the sphere of control. Imagine 2 circles. Inner circle, things you can control. Outer circle, things you cannot. Weather, traffic, delays, other people's opinions, other people's moods, the past, and large parts of the future are outside your control. Your mindset, behavior, attitude, focus, effort, boundaries, and meaning-making are inside your control. Most suffering comes from focusing on the outer circle. Most peace comes from focusing on the inner circle. Common life scenarios. Happiness under stress. To make happiness practical, let's test it in real scenarios. Failure. Failure hurts not because something went wrong, but because the mind believes failure is final. Emotional strength sees failure as information, not identity. Rejection. Rejection is redirection. It only destroys happiness when we personalize it. The emotionally strong person understands rejection as part of selection, not a verdict on their worth. Delays. Delays create internal chaos because the mind tries to rush life. Happiness increases when you slow the mind to match reality instead of rushing reality to match the mind. Conflict is unavoidable because humans have different views. Emotional maturity listens instead of attacks. Happiness survives conflict through communication, not avoidance. Unexpected change. Life does not always follow the plan. Unexpected change tests flexibility. If happiness depends on stability, it fails. If happiness depends on adaptability, it survives. Emotional processing. Emotional processing makes difficulty easier to carry. Naming the emotion reduces its power. Feeling the emotion reduces pressure. Expressing the emotion prevents buildup. Understanding the emotion creates clarity. Suffering increases when we resist what we feel. Peace begins when we allow what we feel without letting it rule our decisions. Naming is especially powerful. When you say, "I feel disappointed," or "I feel anxious," the brain calms. The emotion becomes something you are observing, not something you are drowning in. Feeling emotions is not weakness. Avoiding emotions is exhausting. Happiness becomes stable when emotions can move through, not get stuck inside. Chapter 4. Building Daily Happiness as a Lifestyle. There is a misunderstanding about happiness that quietly ruins people's lives. Most people expect happiness to appear during the big moments, when they succeed, when they win, when something exciting happens. But big celebration moments are rare. Promotions, achievements, weddings, travel, breakthroughs, these are occasional. Meanwhile, ordinary days are the majority of life. If happiness only lives in rare events, then happiness will always be rare. Real happiness must live in normal, regular, unremarkable days. If you learn to make an ordinary Tuesday feel good, you have won something that most people never figure out. This is why happiness must become a lifestyle, not a spark, not a moment, but a system. Small daily systems. Small daily systems are the practical side of happiness. They are not dramatic, and they do not feel like fireworks, but they are repeatable, sustainable, and emotionally nutritious. Here are several of the most effective. 1. Morning sunlight plus movement. When sunlight hits your eyes in the morning, your brain wakes up and sets your internal clock. Light regulates mood hormones. Movement activates energy and improves emotional resilience. This doesn't need to be a workout. Stretching, walking, or basic mobility is enough. 2. Gratitude micro moments. You don't need to write long gratitude lists. You just need to notice. Gratitude is awareness training. Saying "this tea is warm," or "this view is nice," or "I'm thankful for this person" rewires the brain toward appreciation instead of lack. 3. Acts of kindness. Helping others creates serotonin and oxytocin, chemistry linked to long-term happiness and emotional bonding. Humans are wired to feel good when they contribute. Kindness creates meaning without cost. 4. Slow living moments. Eat slowly. Walk slowly. Sit for a minute without scrolling. These small pauses allow the nervous system to downshift from stress mode to presence mode. Happiness breathes here. 5. Reduced digital noise. Digital noise steals attention and fragments the mind. You don't need to delete everything. Just create boundaries. No scrolling first hour of morning, no scrolling last hour before bed, or no notifications for apps that don't matter. Protecting attention protects emotion. 6. Connection with people. Connection is a psychological nutrient, not quantity, quality. One good conversation feeds more happiness than 100 digital interactions. Humans are not built to be isolated, even if modern life makes isolation convenient. 7. Sleep closure process. Sleep repairs mood chemistry, but many people take worries into bed. A sleep closure ritual, such as journaling, cleaning, or planning tomorrow, signals the brain that the day is complete. Peaceful endings create peaceful mornings. 8. Learning small things. The brain loves progress. You don't need to master a new language. Even learning one new concept a day gives the mind a sense of growth. Growth fuels confidence, curiosity, and self-respect. 9. Cleaning small spaces. A clean room can change your mood faster than motivational videos. Cleaning is physical order that creates mental clarity. Small spaces matter. Your desk, your shelf, your bed. Small joy is built through small systems. Why small works better than big. Most people assume big changes create happiness, but big changes are rare and exhausting. Small habits work better for 4 reasons. 1. Easy to repeat. What you can repeat shapes your emotional baseline. 2. Easy to maintain. Anything that requires heavy willpower collapses quickly. 3. Compounds over time. Small behaviors become routines. Routines become identity. 4. Affects mood chemistry. Happiness is biological. Small actions influence neurotransmitters more consistently than grand events. Big happiness experiences are like fireworks. Small happiness habits are like sunlight, consistent, nourishing, and daily. The dimensions of emotional fulfillment. Happiness is not one thing. It has multiple dimensions. When these dimensions are fed, life feels rich. When they starve, life feels flat. Here are the key dimensions. Meaning. Humans suffer more from lack of meaning than from lack of comfort. Meaning answers. Why does this matter? Connection. We are social beings. Happiness stretches through relationships, not necessarily romantic, but emotionally supportive. Growth progress makes life exciting. Growth signals that we are moving, evolving, becoming. Peace. Peace is quiet, inner stability. It is when your mind stops attacking you. Self-respect. Self-respect grows from living in alignment with values. When you act in ways you admire, you become someone you trust. When these 5 dimensions are nurtured, happiness becomes a lived experience, not a motivational idea. Final perspective lesson. If there is one conclusion from everything we've explored, it is this. Happiness is not a destination. Happiness is not a one-time event. Happiness is not something you wait for. Happiness is a skill you train. Happiness is a system you build. Happiness is a choice you repeat daily. You don't find happiness. You practice it. End note. Happiness can be built, protected, and practiced. And once it becomes a lifestyle, it becomes something no one can take away from you. If this video made you think differently about happiness, pause for a moment and let that awareness settle. Notice which part spoke to you the most. Was it the idea that happiness is a skill, that it can survive difficulty, or that it can be practiced in ordinary days? Feel free to share your reflection in the comments. I read them, and they genuinely help guide future topics. If you found value here, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It's a simple action on your side, but it supports the mission of spreading useful ideas that actually make life better. And more importantly, it makes sure you don't miss the next videos in this series, because this is just the beginning. In the next episodes, we're going deeper into how the mind works, how to cultivate inner strength, and how to build a meaningful life from the inside out. Happiness is not a luxury. It's a life skill worth mastering. Until then, take care of your mind, protect your peace, and remember, happiness is not something you wait for. It's something you practice every day.